Hi guys, today what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the essentials that you need to know before we consider color formulation. It is about 7 steps or 7 things that you need to consider before we even consider formulating permanent hair color. This is primarily for lift and deposit only. We'll get into the other options later. First and foremost, you need to make sure that you assess a client's hair. Everyone will come in and say that their hair is natural. 90% of the time, their hair is not. They will tell you that they've never colored their hair, and what you want to ask them is, when was the last time you colored your hair? Then they'll say, oh, it's been about 6 months to a year. Well, their hair would have only grown out 3 inches to 6 inches. What clients don't realize or guess is that their hair grows approximately half an inch a month. So in 6 months, their hair would have grown 3 inches. In 12 months, their hair would have grown 6 inches. For the average person, that has not grown out. So you will definitely see a line of demarcation or a line as to where they had previously colored their hair. We need to make sure that we check the porosity of the hair. We can't use all developers on somebody who has damaged hair. Sometimes that means that they've permed or relaxed their hair. Sometimes that means that they have excessively flat ironed and smoothed their hair, and they have just like consistently damaged their hair. Either way, we need to kind of check the elasticity, check to see the porosity of the hair. We have discussed this in the class. If you need any more assistance with that, please refer to your book on page 672. Okay, so the level system is the first thing that is incredibly important. The level system is a very basic guide for all hairstylists. It pretty much refers to the level of lightness or darkness. So the lightest color is approximately always going to be a 10, and then the darkest will be at about a 1. Wella's starts at a 2, and it just kind of gradually goes up. A level 6 is what I consider to be what I call Beyonce blonde, or I apologize, Beyonce brown. And then level 10 is a blonde. Some color companies use up to level 12 and when you consider the ashiest blondes or the platinums. That would be this. You will never lighten hair to a white under any circumstance. That will immediately cause damage. So once again, a level 10 is blonde, a level 1 or 2 is a black, and a level 6 is approximately dark blonde or light brown. In Wella, this is considered a dark blonde. I call that a Beyonce brown. Okay, how do we identify it? What we're going to do is we're going to get a single strand about ½ inch wide at the crown of the head. We're going to make sure that it reflects off of the light and we can kind of see through it, and we'll put the swatch immediately behind it. We will check at the base, the mid shaft, and then the ends. Just because there is a brown level system does not mean that the same, let's say for example, there's a level 7 here. That's a level 7 brown. I will find you a level 7 in a reddish copper. And then I will also get you a level 7 at a double pigment brown, which we'll discuss later. And a level 7 at a gold. A level 7 at a vibrant red. Pretty much a level system is just the lightness of or darkness of a color. It can have a gold undertone, a red undertone. It can have just about an ashy blue violet undertone. It can have any undertone out there. Okay, so we've discussed the level system. We have discussed how to assess hair. Now we're going to talk about the complementary colors. I have this little color wheel that I've gotten at probably a Michael's or something along those lines. We have 3 primary colors. To simplify this, we're just going to move on to our book, page 675. Let me lower the screen here. Perfect. Okay, so we have red, blue, and yellow, the primary colors. If we would like to neutralize yellow, we would neutralize it with a violet. This is purple, but in the hair industry, we don't say purple, we say violets. To neutralize orange, you will use the one across, which is a blue, or to neutralize any red tones, you will use a green. There are circumstances in which there is green in the hair. And you will have to neutralize that with a little bit of red. A lot of hairstylists have discovered that when they get a nice ashy blonde and they apply it to golden hair. So yellow and blue will ultimately turn green. Okay, we'll discuss that later. Step number 4, the levels of decolorization as seen on page 685. So what's most important is that you understand that every time you lighten, under every circumstance, this is one of those laws. You will never be able to dodge this. You will always see this exposed. At approximately a level 6, you will always find an orange gold. Here we go. At a level 10, there's always yellow. Approximately a level 3, there's always going to be kind of like these reddish, brownish tones. 5 is usually the most extreme orange. It's what I call copper penny orange. Every time we lift, what we don't want to consider is that it's not, let's say we're going from a level 3 to a 5. We're not going to consider the underlying pigments of a level 3. We're going to consider it could be called an underlying pigment or a contributing pigment. We're going to discuss what the underlying pigment is at a level 5 or a level wherever you're headed. Because by the time you've achieved a level 5, you have removed a lot of the pre-existing pigment. You've already buffed all of that out. So that is a 3. You've already moved all the way up. I'm just going to go up 1 because I know that on the computer it looks a lot more like this in person. So we're not going to consider where we're starting. We're always going to consider the underlying pigment or the contributing pigment of where we're ending up, because a developer would have buffed all of that color out and the ammonia in the permanent color tube. Okay, moving on. The tones or hues of what we want. Let's say somebody wants this hair. Is that warm or cool? How do you know the difference? Warm is sunset, red, yellow, orange. It's along these lines, red, orange, yellow. Now, cool is the opposite. I always think of the ocean. It's kind of like that bluish violet, that any type of blue, like an ashy green. Some companies use gray. That's definitely not found in the sunset. That would be considered a cool. So the question is, will that help us or will that hinder us? If we want copperish, that kind of looks like it sunset colored, then we'd want a warm. And the underlying pigment or the contributing pigment that we're about to expose will help us. Okay, intensifiers. Intensifiers, my students have asked me, what are they? So it is literally a tube of color that has pure pigment. It gives you that beautiful pop of color. So sometimes you could just get a golden and you'll put a little bit of copper in the mix. So Wella's, you have to excuse me, Wella's golds are very orange. They're what other companies would consider copper. Knowing this is incredibly important. Every color company's ash is different. But for the sake of this video, we're going to follow Wella's because this is a swatch book that I have. And their ash is gray, while other companies' ash might be blue or green. Okay, So natural is usually not an intensifier, but you could find pigments like pearl, which here on this is like a blue. There can be gold, which is kind of like a yellowish orange. There's red, R. So G is for gold, R is for red. We're going to exclude pearl and we're just going to make it B for blue. V for violet. Once again, purple is not used in the hair industry. We usually use violet. And then I think that's it. I think we've included all of the colors. Please let me know if I have not. So those are intensifiers. You could add 3, 6, 9, or 12 inches. You could add a little bit, like a pea-size bit, and you can look at your book on page, let me tell you, 678. Now, the last thing we need to discuss is developers. A lot of students find them really complicated, but they're very easy. A 10 volume developer is maximum deposit, or it can lift up to 1 level. A 20 volume developer can deposit over gray hair, or it can lift 2 levels. A 30 volume developer lifts 3 levels. A 40 volume developer lifts 4 levels. Once you feel that you have memorized all of this information, I am going to get ready to create a formulation video so that we can actually go through and formulate some colors. So hopefully through this video, you have learned 1, how to assess hair, 2, not to put any permanent color on porous hair or chemically treated hair unless you've checked the manufacturer's directions. The level system, we learned complementary colors, as I like to call them, Bears, Lakers, Christmas. Levels of decolorization, what you're pulling up or what's exposed whenever you lighten. The tones or hues, is the color leaning toward red? Is it golden? Does it enhance my color when I look at the levels of or degrees of decolorization? Or do I need to neutralize it? And developers. Can't wait to see you guys for the next video. Hopefully you understood everything, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.